Welcome to Pending and Trending. I am your host, Deidre Quinn, and this podcast is all about helping real estate agents stay ahead in today's fast-moving market. With over 20 years of experience and a passion for building relationships, I bring you the latest tips, trends, and strategies to elevate you and your business. Whether you're looking to dominate a niche, stay sharp on industry shifts, or build your own generational wealth, you are in the right place. Let's get to it, because what's trending today can get you pending tomorrow. Welcome back to Pending and Trending. Today's guest is a true powerhouse in real estate with over 4 billion, do I have that right? Billion in personally closed transactions.
That's right.
Daron C. Campbell has set the standard for excellence in the industry. He currently serves as senior level sales associate and team leader at LPT Realty, where he drives national growth initiatives, empowers agents to reach new levels of success. With more than 2 decades of experience, Darren is not only a top producing professional, but also a sought-after speaker, coach, and certified AI specialist, which is huge in today's environment. His insights on leadership, growth, and the future of real estate are ones you don't want to miss. Please welcome Daron C. Campbell, and let's get going. Thanks so much for being a guest here today, Darren. I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me, Deidre. This is exciting. I love any opportunity I can get to communicate with people and help. I want to be of service, really. I want to help.
Love it. Love it. Darren, but I was really looking into what you do, and what I saw this tagline that really got me excited today about today's conversation. And it says, the anti-bank real estate expert you have been waiting for. So can we just start there, and can you jump right in and tell me more about that?
Yeah. The funny thing, Deidre, is in my 33 years now in the real estate business, I have found that there are so many people who feel like the institutional bank is this mysterious black hole, and very few people really feel like they know how to navigate the route of the bank. And I don't think that's a mistake. I think the banking institution does that on purpose in a lot of ways. And there's just so many people confused about, okay, how do I qualify for a loan? Now, wait a minute. I see my 3 credit scores. I subscribe to creditscore.com or whatever, and I can see my 3 credit scores. But then when I go and apply at the bank, they use a different credit scoring system. There's so many question marks, and there's so much ambiguity and shrouded mystery around the bank loan application process and the credit application process, and who qualifies for how much and why. And so I have found in many cases that I've found myself helping people buy real estate creatively and finding ways other than the traditional bank route to complete transactions. And so I started this concept where I would promote the idea that there's a different way to buy real estate, and you don't have to just relegate yourself to the traditional banking process. So I've done dozens and dozens of deals. As a matter of fact, I've become known for doing seller finance deals, subject to deals, all-inclusive trust deed deals, things like that kind of defy the normal go to the bank and apply for the loan process.
So that's great, because all we hear around us is people, interest rates are higher, and people being priced out, or they're not able to do this, or so can you just share some of those? You said subject to, and you said seller financing. Can you maybe break a couple of those down so that our listeners really understand what you're talking about and how you really do it? Because it's super important for them to have that understanding.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so for instance, I'll give you an example. There was a gentleman some years back, a lot of years back, early in my career, that wanted to sell 2 apartment buildings. And they were old, ugly, run down, and this gentleman said, Darren, sell these and sell them fast. I'm moving out of the country. I was thinking that night, how do I sell these 2 rundown, kind of ugly apartment buildings, mismanaged, no less? And I'm thinking to myself, I'd love to own those things. I wonder if I could just buy them from them. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't have a lot of down payment money, and I don't know if I've been in this business long enough or earned enough money to go and qualify to buy 2 apartment buildings and go to Chase and apply for a loan. So I came up with this idea that I had heard before, never tested it. I said, maybe I'll buy him from him. I'll see if he's willing to carry the financing. And so I went to him and said, you know what? I want to buy your 2 buildings. At first I said, I know how to get those things sold for you fast. And he goes, I'll buy them from you. Only problem is I don't really have a down payment, and you want to go fast. So I was thinking maybe if I buy them from you, but you carry the financing, then we could close this deal this week. And he goes, me carry the financing? I go, yeah, you'd essentially be the bank. I make the payments to you. Now the job of cleaning up, fixing up the apartments and collecting the rents and all that stuff is on me. You still get a monthly check, and I own the buildings now. He goes, is that legal? I go, yeah, it's actually legal. And we actually did a seller financing deal, and those are the first 2 apartment buildings I ever owned. And so that was the start of my creative financing career. And I've done hundreds of those deals since. And so many people are shocked and excited because there's a different way sometimes than the traditional bank. I would have never qualified for those 2 apartment buildings that early in my career. Because look, I've sold a lot of apartment buildings. I'm sure you and I are going to talk about that later. But the typical apartment building, you need 35% down. You got to have a 750 or better FICO score. It's commercial real estate or multi-res real estate, it's even tougher in general than regular loans. The bank really wants to know that you got this net worth and this credit worthiness and all these things. And 35% down. There's no 3% down, 5% down, 10% down world in apartment buildings. It's 35% or more typically. And so I would have never been able to buy those 2 buildings, but as a result, those are the first 2 buildings in my portfolio, and I've owned hundreds of units since. So that was the beginning of it, and since then I have literally helped, a few hundred people buy real estate, homes, apartment buildings, whatever, all kinds of real estate using creative finance.
So that's what got you started, and now you've helped hundreds of people do that. And do you just convince? Is it hard to convince the seller? It's a win for them, right? Because they're getting a check and able to sell their property and move on to their next phase. And then the person that you're helping or yourself is able to get into a property and then use that to then build their portfolio going forward. Am I right?
You're correct. And the thing is, all the situations, I tell people I don't buy real estate, I buy situations. And the fact of the matter is, if the seller's in a particular situation, like the gentleman wanted to move out of the country, like a week later, he wanted to move. Yeah. So how do we get his property sold quickly in a manner that is fair to him, but gives someone like me an opportunity to own something? So every seller is not particularly built for it, but there are those that are, because there are people who are selling for reasons other than their money. Some people need their money because they want to move on to the next house or the next thing.
Sure.
That seller isn't necessarily going to be able to carry 100% of the financing like I got this gentleman to do for me. But there are sellers, and today is an interesting day in the scheme of things, Deidre, because there are a lot of sellers who need to sell. And that's who I buy from. And that's who I teach my mentees to buy from, people who need to sell. You and I know the term motivated seller. Well, that is literally the best candidate for creative financing, because that person needs out of that real estate for a particular reason. I bought a property last week with seller financing because this lady lost her job and can no longer pay that mortgage. She's 6 payments behind on that mortgage, and she's get me out. So we massaged the deal and put a deal together that makes sense for her but stops the bleeding. She won't have a foreclosure on her record. I'll have another piece of real estate in my portfolio, and we both win. And for her, it's not, and she's got a good amount of equity in there, but for her, it's not give me the equity, it's stop the bleeding. I lost my job. These payments aren't going to get made. And so,
Darren, dig into that a little bit deeper for me. Now, is she staying in the house at this, or you're actually buying it and she's not staying in the house?
She's moving. I've actually had some sell to be and stay or rent back, but no, she's moving. She's moving on. She leased another place. She's in a new chapter in her life. She's hunting for changing careers, et cetera, et cetera. So she's moving on. But I'm acquiring her property, and so now she'll stop damaging her credit. She'll get money to go and relocate and start over. But this feels like this weight. She bought this thing when she was gainfully employed, and that job went away. Unfortunately, it did. This is what happens in some cases, but it's A lot of people have asked, and a lot of people think, are you taking advantage of somebody who's in a tough spot? I'm taking advantage of a lane and an opportunity that the market has, but I'm saving the day for this lane. I had a gentleman, I bought a house in Vegas a little while ago, Deidre, and this guy was 1 week away, 7 days away from being locked out by the sheriff. They were coming, the trustee sale was going to happen on the following Friday, and he calls me, I had called him months prior, he calls me and says, you still want to buy my house? And I go, I don't know, I don't remember your house. But he reminded me of the scenario. I flew to Vegas right from LA. I sat down with him, I learned about the scenario. He was 10 payments behind on his mortgage, but we were able to create a scenario, create a deal where I actually took over his loan subject to, I paid his back payments and gave him some walk away, I call it walk away money, but he walked away with over $30,000. And I took over his mortgage. I saw how I could improve the value of that house by doing some repairs and some fix up and some additions. We did that, and it was a win-win. He called me, this is the greatest part of this. He called me a couple months later and said, thank you, you saved my life. I don't have a foreclosure on my credit. My credit is being restored right now, and you gave me money to start over, and I would have drowned a week later. And so that, to me, that kind of justifies it. Because some people go, oh, you're taking advantage of people in a bad spot. Am I? Or am I helping that guy out?
In my mind, you're helping him out because he was going to lose the house anyway, and then he was going to have all of this foreclosure, and stays with you for a lot of years, right? And then no money to start over.
And you got 1 million real estate listeners and viewers, and they're going to say, why didn't he just put it on the market 6 months earlier? That's a great question. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. So many people are in denial. You've seen this 100 times. People are in denial of what might ultimately be coming down the tracks. But that train is coming. And a lot of people just put their head in the sand and they just don't acknowledge it. That guy could have put that property on the market 3 or 4 months earlier, and he could have sold it, and that would have worked out, and it would have been fine. And I wouldn't have been part of that equation necessarily. But he didn't. And so when he did it, he was in an emergency type situation, and that's where I came in. And he is grateful. As a matter of fact, he says he's going to join my mentorship program and learn to invest. Yeah.
So he can help other people just like you, right?
Exactly right. That's exactly right.
That's right. Okay, so Darren, what other ways are there? You mentioned a couple. You said subject to. Are there other avenues, creative financing avenues that you pursue, and can you share another one of those with us?
Sure. That's only limited to kind of your imagination and what you and the seller like to do. Okay, so a seller can carry the financing. That's kind of like that first example. He carried the entire loan. There's also secondary seller financing. A lot of people think, here's what a lot of people should be taking advantage of. You know that 2 or 3 years ago, you could get an interest rate in the 2s and 3s, right? You remember 3% mortgages?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
A lot of people still have those mortgages in place, but they need to sell their real estate. So what you can do is say, let's say a house is worth $500,000. A guy's got a $300,000 loan in place at 3%. That is such cheap money that it might be to your advantage or your buyer's advantage to keep that loan in place, assume that loan, and ask that seller to carry $100,000 of that equity or more. And so now you got seller carry secondary financing. I can keep the 3% money. He can carry a second for 5 or 6% of today's rates if you want. And now the buyer has gotten cheap money for most of it and some seller carry for other parts of it. So that's another form of seller financing. There's also things called all-inclusive trust deeds, a wraparound loan. That same gentleman's got $300,000 in place for his mortgage. He wants to sell really badly. I don't have $200,000 in cash to give him. So I say, hey, Mr. Seller, why don't we do a wraparound loan and put another $100,000 around the $300,000? So now there's a $400,000 all-inclusive trust deed. I'll come in with the difference, and now I've created more leverage. He's helping me finance that because he's taking $300 cheap money, $400, another $100 to make it $400. Now I've got a little more leverage. I come in with less down. He gets some of his equity. He carries some of his equity. This could be 1 year, 3 year, 5 year money. Helps me get in, helps him get out. So that's called an all-inclusive trust deed, AITD. I've done 50 of those in the last 5 years. So that's another way. So seller financing, subject to financing, all-inclusive trust deed financing. These are just creative ways that the traditional real estate agent and or the typical seller doesn't really know exists or doesn't think it's doable. But it's doable on so many deals. Maybe 50% of the deals have a creative element that you can take advantage of.
Excellent, excellent. Thanks for sharing that, Darren. That's very helpful, very helpful. Now, would you say that? Go ahead.
I got an ebook I'll give all your listeners for free. It just talks about creative financing.
Love that ebook for free, everyone. You
It's
got
free.
it.
It's free of
Love it.
charge.
Love it. Okay. So, in addition to your creative financing, and you also do, you also have other real estate transactions. So you basically run both at the same time. So whichever's gonna pick make
Whatever fits.
the best sense for the client is the direction that you go at the time. Is that, am I
Absolutely.
understanding that correctly?
I'm a traditional realtor as well.
Okay.
So I do regular transactions every day.
Got it. Okay, that's amazing. I get how you got your start, and I think that's wonderful. It was a win-win for both parties. And I know that you are passionate about agents and other entrepreneurs investing alongside, whether it's alongside their clients or investing for their own, building their own wealth. And what are some common mistakes people make when they first begin investing? And what role does investing play in a person's long-term success?
Okay, let's start with that second question. Real estate has created more wealth than any asset class in the history of planet Earth, right? So from the beginning of time, the landowners, the real estate owners were the people who controlled everything, right? And that still continues to be the case today. Everyone, to a man or woman, needs to own real estate. If you don't own real estate, then there's a gap in your portfolio. Real estate can change the trajectory of your wealth dramatically, 180 degrees. We all should own real estate because it's tried and it's true, and it may not be as sexy as crypto today, but real estate you can count on. Real estate you can leave it to your kids. Real estate can continue to put wealth and money in your family's pockets for generations. And so I think everyone ought to have an element of real estate investing in their life. And so what I've done is I helped a lot of regular people become real estate investors. The postman should own real estate. It's just a fact that the typical truck driver should own real estate. There should be a real estate plan for everyone. And it doesn't stop at the American dream, own your own home with the white picket fence and raise your kids there. That's not enough. Everyone should own additional real estate because real estate can multiply your wealth and it can retire you. It can give you a comfortable way to segue away from that 9 to 5. And so I've helped a lot of people. I have all these mentees who come from every walk of life, from being a silver spoon to a working class Joe. And I teach them how to add real estate to their portfolio so that they can get away from what I call the trap of a 9 to 5, because you're not going to become wealthy with the typical 9 to 5, but real estate over time can make you wealthy, and then you can have work can be a choice, the traditional work in that sense. So absolutely. I think everyone ought to be investing in real estate in some facet, some form. So there are a lot of ways to do that. You can save. I know a lot of people don't know that you could invest your 401k or your self-directed IRA in funds that invest in real estate. You can team up with friends and family and buy rental properties. There are so many ways to get it done. You just need to get it done. Everyone should own real estate.
Love it. Just get it done. Just get it done.
Just
Love
get
it.
in. You got to be in the game to win.
So I have so many more questions for you too, but let's just go back to, you have mentees and you help them build their own portfolios, or what does that look like? What do you do to help them, and how do you coach them to make great decisions?
Okay, so investing in general is the topic, right? You need to invest in real estate. That's my theme song, right? You need to invest in real estate. So let's take the situation you are particularly in, and as my mentee, I'm going to help you go from where you sit to the point where you own a portfolio of real estate. And so we take each mentee, we strip it all the way down to where they live right now. Where are they in their evolution? And so many people, they got to figure out how to own their first piece of real estate. today, if you joined my mentorship today, I would show you where the greatest opportunities are. They tend to be right now in pre-foreclosures and probate situations. So there are people who need to sell real estate, and then I told you about the creative ways that we know how to get
Yeah.
people into those real estate deals. So you could be, I don't want to pick on the postman, but you could be a postman and you can make a decent salary, but you don't necessarily have 20 or 30 or $50,000 laying around. But we could find somebody in your zip code 9 times out of 10, right near where you live, who's in some form of distress, where we could get you a rental property right near where you live in a creative manner that didn't take all the money out of your bank account. We can get a creative way to get you in from somebody who really needs to get out, and we can start your real estate investing career right there. And then we take real estate, and then we show you how to add value. It's all about adding value, Deidre. I can help you find a rental property. It may be a little bit run down. We could add value by improving it. It may be under rented. We can show you how to get rents up to market rate. You can build equity and add value, and then that'll then launch you to your second deal. And then we'll help you get your second deal and third. So many of my mentees have been around for years. They stick around because we try to help them grow. It's a process. It's typically like a 6 month to 1 year mentorship, and the goal is to get you 2 pieces of investment property during that 1 year mentorship. But a lot of them stick around because they become my partners. They become like devoted fans, and they all worship at the church of Darren.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah. So yeah, we take you from wherever you are to the point where you're investing.
That's fabulous. And so, what I had asked this before, and then we got off the path. What are some of the mistakes that
Oh yeah.
people make when they first begin investing? And let's just top that off with how you help them navigate not making those mistakes.
Okay, I'm glad you came back to that because I forgot to answer that part. Okay, a really huge fundamental mistake is many people think that owning real estate is enough, or just being the owner is enough. No, rental property and fix and flip properties, you have to do your due diligence in a significant way, because I know a lot of people who own 2 or 3 or 4 rental properties. Matter of fact, I have a buddy who owned 7 houses when I met him. 7 houses. And all he was doing was breaking even on 7 houses. That's not a plan to me. That's a flawed plan. I said to him, why do you own these 7 beautiful rental properties and making no dollars at the end of the month? It's because one of the mistakes was he didn't buy properties that would cash flow beyond the mortgage and the expenses. Here's what a lot of people, they go, okay, my mortgage will be $3,000 and the property will rent for $3,500. I'm making $500. No, you forgot about taxes. You forgot about insurance. You forgot about maintenance and repairs. You forgot about what if the tenant moves out and you got to repaint the whole place? What about if the tenant, you have to evict the tenant? You got to have a significant cushion in the rental game, kind of scares some people away from it. But if you do your math properly, you've heard that saying, Deidre, you make your money when you buy. You make your money when you buy. So you have to buy the thing. What I did with that guy, by the way, was we had him sell all 7 of those houses, and we put him into rental properties that made cash flow. He went from no cash flow to over $20,000 a month with that same equity, and ended up doing $20,000+ a month in cash flow by selling those houses and trading into stuff that made sense. So big mistake is thinking that just owning it is enough. You got to buy stuff that makes sense, either a way to add significant value immediately, or buying it in such a way that it cash flows significantly from day one.
Excellent, excellent. So your mentor program is going to help people navigate that and help them choose the right properties so that they are buying, so that they're not just waiting for the end of selling it and hoping that they
Yeah,
ride
you're
that
supposed to
appraisal.
win all along the way.
Love it, love it. Okay, let's just talk about you use AI a lot, right? To
I'm
completely
starting
change
to,
the
it's
track
taking over the world, yeah. Yeah.
the track here. And I've actually been doing a ton of AI myself, and it's one of those things that if we don't do it, then we're going to be way behind because it's taking over everything. Literally, turn on your laptop and it's AI, and I'm like, whoa, slow down. And
Yeah.
there's avatars now. There's everything that you can do with AI. So I'm really into it. I love it. I don't know if you know the name John Lee, but I've been actually coaching with John Lee myself.
Oh wow.
He's taught me a ton over the past year. But I noticed that you do a lot with AI, and I'm super excited to hear about that because it is changing our industry. And I'd love to hear about your thoughts on how you've seen it changing our industry and how you're digging in to stay on the cutting edge of it.
On its face, AI is obviously a tool that's going to create a lot of leverage. And I think that's probably the most important element of it. It'll create leverage where we didn't have leverage before. Now, so most people and their chat GPT voyages every day that they go on, they're finding that they're using it as an additional brain, like an advanced sort of Google for people. That's the surface level. So it'll help you write your property description. Great. It'll help you answer questions about the area. Great. But where I think AI is going to be the most valuable is the leverage that it can create by becoming that assistant that you used to pay. I used to have 4 assistants. The need for assistants doesn't exist anymore because AI can replace elements. I used to have an assistant who did nothing but call all day. Now I have AI that calls all day, right? And it doesn't get tired, doesn't take any days off, doesn't get sick, none of the above. And so leverage like that, and it works 24 hours a day, by the way. And so leverage like that is what's going to be the most helpful to people like us, real estate agents, real estate professionals, people who are hunting for properties. AI will take a lot of that workload, that drudgery that I grew up cold calling, Deidre. When I first started, I cold called 4 to 5 hours a day. That's how I launched my career, just on the phone. Now AI has the ability, the capacity to make all those calls for me. AI has the capacity to have the conversation with you after making that call. AI has the ability now to connect you to me should you want to go further. And or if not, AI has the ability to book the appointment with you and me together and put it on my calendar. And so that when I wake up, I got a new appointment with you that, you and I've never spoken. So the leverage that AI is going to create is the biggest and greatest tool for people. And so like right now, I coach real estate agents as well. And I'm trying to coach real estate agents on how to use the leverage part of AI to begin with. Now the day is going to come when some of my coaching is done using an avatar that looks and sounds like me. Wait a minute, Deidre, are you really talking to me, or is this my avatar?
I
I
know,
don't
right?
know. See, the day will come when you might be talking to my avatar, and that avatar speaks and sounds and looks just like me. So that day is upon us. So that'll be more leverage. I could coach 1,000 people instead of 70, and so AI is going to impact everything. And like you said, the idea is try to stay out in front of it so that you could utilize it as opposed to get victimized by it. It'll steamroll you if you don't stay out in front of it. But it's a tool, and a lot of people get scared about it, and a lot of people are worried about it. But rather than use that energy being worried or scared about it, I say use that energy to learn it and learn how to lever it and improve your income and improve your business.
I agree 100%, 100%. So, how are you staying on the cutting edge of AI and making sure that you are on the top of all the technology game?
I am a perennial student, Deidre. I took a certification course. There's a gentleman named Nick Krim does an AI certification, and so I took his course and got certified. And then I work with a group called Speculo AI, and they help real estate agents in particular plug AI into their business, mostly from the voice AI aspect. So that's where the phone calling and the AI having a conversation with they can take your lead list. As a matter of fact, I got a discount code for all of your listeners that might want to check out Speculo AI. Because what it'll do is it'll take your database. Let's say you got 5,000 people in your database in your farm. They can take your farm, put it into the AI system, and then the AI will begin to call and email and text your clients for you and book appointments for you. So now what that does is, again, leverages everything. Leverage is the most important word in the business language. Now it leverages you. You're not making those calls. You're not making those texts. You're not doing those emails. The AI assistant is doing them for you. And now your job, the most important job you can do, is taking the appointments. So the ultimate real estate practice, Deidre, is for me to wake up and have 6 appointments on my calendar for today. That's the ultimate real estate practice. Not picking up the phones, not dialing for dollars, not texting people, not even following up on calls or appointments I had last week. My highest and best use, because I'm the salesman in this business, my highest and best use is to go on 6 appointments today and find 6 motivated sellers or buyers. Hopefully sellers. I like to represent sellers. I want to meet with 6 motivated sellers. I want my AI to have interviewed them, vetted them, determined their level of motivation, and booked them on my calendar. So all I want to do is I want to jump in my car. Here's what I really want to do, DJ. Let me tell you what ultimate looks like. I got a driver who drives my car. Maybe AI will drive it. Maybe I won't have a driver. I want somebody else driving me. I want to go from appointment to appointment. I want to take 6 appointments. I want to come home with 4 listings this afternoon. And then I want to get in my pool and chill out with a margarita. That's the best day. That's the best day.
Love it. Love it. Oh my goodness. This has been fabulous. Such an enlightening conversation. And I really appreciate you taking the time to share all of this. And it's been a wealth of knowledge. Is there anything else that you would like to share with our listeners?
Yeah, I think everyone should be thinking of what their plan is as it relates to a few things. Number one, how are you growing your real estate portfolio? Because a lot of realtors, I know you got a lot of realtors who follow you. I noticed this. I did my homework on you too. And real estate agents are trying to figure out what's the path forward. We got to start thinking more like owners, right? Real estate agents ought to have an investor hat that they wear as well. Because the way out or the way to graduate is to build your own real estate portfolio as you go. Use a percentage of those commissions that you work so hard for and invest them. Become a real estate owner, become a real estate investor. So people ought to be thinking more in more terms like that, which is part of why I teach creative real estate acquisition, because all of us, every profession, realtors included, ought to be thinking of how do I grow a portfolio. And even if you can learn from me, you can learn from 100 other gurus out there, but just learn, because you need to start owning real estate. The real estate business, as you've been in it for a long time too, it has changed and it's going to continue to change. There are the Zillows of the world and corporate structures that really kind of want to eliminate us, the everyday real estate agent. You can fight that, or you can be mad about it, or you can do something about being prepared, which is build your own real estate portfolio so that as they try to squeeze our commissions down and as they try to commoditize us, you don't have to be a victim of that. You got your 50 rental properties, and real estate brokerage can be an option for you. And so I think everybody ought to be thinking like that. And if you're not, today is a good day to start. And anybody who wants to know more about how to do that, I'm happy to help in any way that I can.
I appreciate that, Darren. And so do our listeners, I know. Now, if they want to reach you, if they want a copy of your ebook, how should they do that? What's the best way for them to do that?
I think there's 2 ways. Instagram is kind of my favorite platform. So I'm just Daron Campbell on Instagram, Daron Campbell. And they can just say ebook. If they just DM ebook, I'll have my staff send them the ebook. And they can always email me. I'm just Daron Campbell at Gmail. And just say, hey, I saw you on Deidre's show, and I'd love to get your ebook. And I'll give that to them for free. And then what will happen is, look, they'll give an opportunity to join my school community. And there's lots of things that I teach inside of that school community. Everything from creative real estate acquisitions to how to build someone's credit to get to that 800 FICO level, to learning how to get business financing. So if you've got good enough credit, and you position yourself the right way, you can actually get a line of credit to do your first real estate acquisition deal. I teach things like that inside of that school community. But anyway, the point is, email me or Instagram me, DM me on Instagram. We'll get you that free information. There's a ton of other stuff that kind of comes with it because you're like in my ecosystem. But I'm happy to give it away. I try to give, and then people go, okay, I got to get more of you, man. Let's talk about mentorship.
I love it. I love it. And I appreciate you giving today. You gave so much, and I can't wait to join your community. I like everything that I've been seeing and hearing. You're just awesome. I appreciate you sharing that free ebook. And also looking into that Speculo AI, you mentioned that you have a code. So if they want to reach you by email, you can connect on that as well. That would be great. And what an incredible conversation. I really appreciate you being on, the anti-bank real estate expert. And you have been fabulous, from creative deal making to long-term investing, and from coaching to future AI in the real estate business. And it's really been a great conversation on how to think bigger and build smarter, right? Build smarter. Just in closing, if today's episode sparked new ideas for your own path, don't stop here, take action. Remember, we're here to reduce the anxiety of buying and building your wealth and helping you build your own generational wealth. This is another episode of Pending and Trending with Deidre Quinn. Until next time, stay creative, stay bold, and keep building the future you deserve. That's a wrap on this episode of Pending and Trending, where hot meets what's happening in real estate. If you found today's conversation helpful, we'd love for you to hit follow or subscribe, leave a quick review, and share the episode with fellow agent or industry pro. Got a trend, tip, or hot take we should be talking about? Send it our way, and we might feature it in an upcoming episode. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, stay sharp, keep your transactions in motion, and let your energy keep trending.